anxiety is a symptom. It is not the actual cause of people's problems.
Mm.
So we know that when people are experiencing anxiety, something in their subconscious has been triggered. And their amygdala, the stress center of the brain, starts
Mm.
releasing the stress hormone cortisol into our bodies, and we start feeling that anxiety. And it manifests in different people
Mm.
in different ways. Sometimes it's racing heartbeat or just a discomfort in their body, whatever it is. So we can use tapping on those symptoms, the symptoms of feeling anxious, or we can try to walk it back
Mm.
to the root cause. What is it exactly that caused the triggering? 99% of the time, people don't know that they've been triggered. 99% of the time, people don't know what the root cause is. So it takes some investigation to kind of walk it back and say, what it feels unsafe about this environment?
Mm.
What feels unsafe about the possibility of me taking this step? Like, am I going to does it mean that somebody is going to reject me? Does it mean that somebody is going to hurt me if I keep moving forward in this way? Those are the types of things that get triggered and cause anxiety. So we need to go back to the trauma that caused the initial fear, the trauma that causes people to look through the lens of fear.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.
Hi guys, welcome back to Neff Inspiration, a show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Welcome to another interview. Today I've got Amy Vincze with me. Amy is an amazing woman who has nowadays made it her mission to help others to change their physical state. And she uses a combination of touch and voice that goes not just under the skin, but it actually goes under the ego into the subconscious. And it works on our default mode network. And that is the cool stuff. That is where the magic happens. That's where we can really make change. Amy, welcome to my show.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And what we're talking about is tapping. Now, for most people out there, they think tapping, what the hell are you talking about? How would you describe what you do to someone who has never experienced it?
I like to describe because people understand what acupuncture is typically. And this is another version of acupuncture that utilizes the 14 energy meridians found in Chinese medicine. But instead of needles, obviously, we are using the percussion of tapping. But it's a triple threat because not only does it have that energetic aspect of it, but it has the physical aspect of tapping on
Yeah.
our acupressure points. That is a somatic version of therapy, and then it adds in the cognitive aspect of traditional talk therapy,
Mm.
and together it creates a really powerful and efficient way to heal ourselves.
And indeed, this is actually quite bizarre. Now, first things first, acupuncture. Obviously, for 5,000 years, people have poked needles into themselves. Yet, there are still people out there who think, oh, no, it's a heap of bullshit. That's just placebo effect. For those of you, there is a big Harvard medical study out there that very clearly has proven the benefits and the effectiveness of acupuncture. So, those of you who are wondering about the basics here, that there's no evidence out there, no problem whatsoever. That has been ticked off. So, we know acupuncture works.
Mhm.
So, what about this tapping? I mean, and in all fairness, why shouldn't it work? Because if needles, if mildly stimulated, can create some effect on the body, why should not also tapping create that? How did you get into tapping? Because there's often a story there where we ourselves actually experience a healing modality and suddenly you realize, bloody hell, that worked. Let's investigate that further. Is that a similar study with you? A similar case with you?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell from my bio that I'm a bit of a seeker. And so I was always kind of seeking something that would make me feel better and something that would help me heal.
Yeah.
I was introduced to tapping by a friend. I was crewing at a Tony Robbins event. And One of
Talk
the
about
other
high
crew,
pressure. Talk about a
yeah,
high. Okay.
one of the other crew members contacted me after the event and said, I found this thing. It's really incredible. And um, I tried doing it with him, and it was intriguing enough to me that I sought out my own coach and pursued it from that regard. I had limited success with it, to be honest with you, at that point, because I was using it wrong, and my coaches were using it wrong, in my opinion.
Ah.
And I have since discovered, um, after using it for 15 years with that limited success, what the true key to getting best possible outcome with tapping
Mm.
is to use it on the root cause of any problem.
You're
So while you
talking out
might
of my
think,
soul. You're talking out of my soul, Amy. Thank
right?
you
You know
very
what I'm
much. Oh,
saying? I mean,
100%, 100%.
because things,
Give us an example though. It is and feel free at some stage to do a little bit of tapping session with me. Although to make the script up on the go, it takes a bit, but I'm very happy one way or the other. But it is
okay, I'm happy to do that. But
absolutely. So, how give us an example where trying to tap away a symptom might not necessarily work so well compared with tapping away at the root source or root cause, shall I say?
we can take something as simple as anxiety.
Mm,
Anxiety is a symptom. It is not the actual cause of people's problems.
mm,
So we know that when people are experiencing anxiety, something in their subconscious has been triggered. And their amygdala, the stress center of the brain, starts
mm,
releasing the stress hormone cortisol into our bodies, and we start feeling that anxiety. And it manifests in different people
mm,
in different ways. Sometimes it's racing heartbeat or just a discomfort in their body, whatever it is. So we can use tapping on those symptoms, the symptoms of feeling anxious, or we can try to walk it back
mm,
to the root cause. What is it exactly that caused the triggering? 99% of the time, people don't know that they've been triggered. 99% of the time, people don't know what the root cause is. So it takes some investigation to kind of walk it back and say, what it feels unsafe about this environment?
mm,
What feels unsafe about the possibility of me taking this step? Like, am I going to does it mean that somebody is going to reject me? Does it mean that somebody is going to hurt me if I keep moving forward in this way? Those are the types of things that get triggered and cause anxiety. So we need to go back to the trauma that caused the initial fear, the trauma that causes people to look through the lens of fear in their life. And when they see something that might resemble that initial trauma, that's how they get triggered. So if we neutralize the trauma, the thing that happened in the first
mm,
place to cause the fear, to cause limiting beliefs, then we take away the triggering effect in their life today and can possibly get rid of anxiety
mm.
about that specific thing moving forward. So we can work on the symptoms and put a band-aid on it, or
Mm.
we can work at the cause and hopefully cut it off at the knees. That's my goal.
Which is beautiful, but I mean, it's interesting that you phrase it like that because what you're doing is probably going a little bit beyond what tapping really is, isn't it? It is tapping in its own right is a means of reducing anxiety by actually changing the physical state, by you using the feedback from those tapping points combined with a script to reduce the activity of those centers in your brain that are highlighting when there's fear, when there is negative arousal, when there's stress, the amygdala essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and related parts of the brain. But you're going further. You're expanding it, which is so beautiful. So you're are truly holistically approaching a problem, not just calming immediately that down. How is that reflected in your scripts? And maybe we should go one step back. We have talked about tapping as simply stimulating acupressure points.
Hmm.
And in the first instance, we have outlined that tapping on certain points, like the acupressure points, is different
Yes.
than tapping somewhere else. Tapping
Yes.
somewhere else will not give you that effect, number one.
Correct.
But
Correct.
when you look at studies, and some clever studies that looked at using tapping somewhere, tapping on the right points, script alone, and then tapping and script. It was clear that tapping and script is synergistic. So that is really where the money is. So
Hmm.
you can't take things away and expect the same outcome. So
Yes, that's
if we were
true.
talking about the script, tell us a bit what a script looks like.
There are 160 different scripts on my tapping app currently, and we are working feverishly to add more. So there are a lot of different scripts to cover a lot of different situations.
Yeah.
There's a script that can help with general anxiety in a moment because sometimes we need a band-aid, right? We need a band-aid just to get throughout the day.
Mm,
We don't have an hour to dedicate to the root cause of anxiety
mm,
every single day so that we can walk with, with feeling safe. So sometimes we need a band-aid. So
mm,
there is tapping scripts for that on the app. And then there are videos that explain how to get and understand the root cause of anxiety and guiding you towards what you need to work on. And for
yeah.
anxiety in particular, there are foundational needs that every human being has, right, in order to feel safe.
Mm,
And so when there is a fear that you are not worthy and deserving
mm,
of either being here in the world and taking up space, or worthy and deserving of love, or worthy and deserving of pleasure, that is a tapping script that needs to be addressed in order to
mm,
neutralize anxiety.
mm,
Same thing with a fear of rejection or abandonment, fear of not belonging. So those are the things that will address the root cause of anxiety, because all anxiety can be traced back to one of
mm,
those foundational fears. Now, more often than, most of the time, people will have a trauma associated with those fears, a trauma that triggered those
mm,
fears in people. Um, and I don't address trauma specifically on the app because it is so unique
mm,
for each individual
mm,
person.
mm,
I really direct people to try and find a um, qualified tapping coach or
mm,
therapist that does
mm,
tapping to address the trauma specifically.
mm,
It is very, very important to do that with a trained professional so that people don't kind of re-injure themselves and re-traumatize themselves.
mm.
Trauma
Well,
has to be dealt with really carefully, really slowly,
yeah.
because in one event, there could be 100 different points in that event
Yeah.
where there is still guilt or shame or regret attached to it. And each one of those events needs to be neutralized for the trauma itself to be neutralized. So really that's where people need to start and then
Mm,
move to the fears.
mm,
It goes in order, right? Whatever happened first is where we need to start. And
mm,
then we go to the fears that were created and then the limiting beliefs that resulted from the fears.
mm,
And when we dismantle it in order like that, we speed up the rate of healing so much that
mm.
people will really be surprised at how fast they can release all of the negative results from one event.
So you really have added a very logical approach to coaching to the the modality of tapping, I would dare to say. And that's really, really beautiful. When I first looked into tapping, I actually was intrigued to look at the scripts, and they very much looked to me like hypnotherapy scripts. I've trained in hypnotherapy, and here
Okay.
we are. There were a lot of similarities there. There was no long introduction or induction, should I say? But it was ultimately you were bypassing the subconscious and you were with intention changing the subconscious or addressing default. I still like to talk subconscious because that makes more sense to me in this kind of setting. Nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
people sort of talk about default mode networks and things like that. It is a perfect, valid, different way of looking at things. It's still the same, but I like the subconscious. It's bypassing the ego and bypassing the bullshit
Yeah.
that we often put, bypassing the walls that we create in response to often trauma that was a long time ago, where we might not even, with the best root cause analysis, not even find out what trauma that was.
Mm-hmm.
We only know the things. And regrettably, sometimes we also have genetically handed down problems from past generations. And if I
Yeah.
look back into the misery in my own ancestry, literally having done the ancestry, my family tree, I have
Yeah.
to say that there was not so much happiness there. There was a lot of escapism there, where people went through wars, famine, went through very, very brutal circumstances. That
Mm-hmm.
was Europe, and that was probably the world in the past. We keep
Mm-hmm.
forgetting that. So
Yeah.
nowadays we have got scientific evidence that the trauma of previous generations results in epigenetic changes in us. So therefore, this is one example where it makes it so hard to go to the root cause, because you can't change what happened to your grandma in 1945 at the end of the war in Berlin, for
Mm-hmm.
example. Okay, so
But you
ha,
can heal the feeling in yourself
indeed,
about feeling
indeed,
unsafe.
indeed.
And you can address it as a generational trauma. Like
In,
I absorbed, some of the fear, some of the craziness that happened during that time, the fear for my life constantly. I absorbed that
mm,
from being, in the body of my
mm,
parents and grandparents.
yeah,
And I think the feeling is very true.
mm,
And tapping and honoring that feeling and acknowledging it enough is what allows it to be released from our body
isn't
and
it?
breaking the cycle of the generational trauma.
Exactly. And we can't, as we said, we can't change anything on the root cause, but we can uncouple our emotional response
Yes,
from
yes.
that. And that is the
Yeah.
biggest thing. That was what was so surprising to me. I had a very nasty trauma in my early teenager years and suffered from undiagnosed PTSD for the next 30, 40 years. And
Mm-hmm.
it was intriguing because it's only after literally nearly 4 decades did it click to me that I was actually displaying a full house of PTSD symptoms, and
Mm-hmm.
then 3 hypnotherapy sessions that addressed that were enough to reduce 70% of my symptoms,
Oh, that's
just
amazing.
like that, bang.
Yeah.
And therefore, I thought, my goodness. And therefore, I was so fascinated by hypnotherapy. And when I then, coming back to the tapping, when I then realized that actually similar things are occurring here, that there is a change of physiology, therefore,
Yeah.
I very quickly became interested and changed my mind. Initially, tapping was sort of a bit alternative out there for me. And then I had to,
Mm-hmm.
once I started investigating it, I'm so pleased that you're here and telling us about that. So
Yeah.
script important, tapping on the right points important.
Very much.
How
Yeah.
how long do we need to tap? And is there a sequence? I know that those tapping techniques that I looked at, there was always a certain sequence there that people started. Is that of importance?
So, how long do we need to tap? I'll address that one first. That is a very individual answer
Mm,
for different people. I would say that, I, and I'm going to say this about myself too, because I used to be very guarded. When my heart was very, very guarded and I was constantly in a fear state, it took me a lot longer to see
mm,
results from
mm,
tapping
mm,
because I would not say I was an open person.
mm.
And as I have stayed dedicated to the process, I have become more and more open, and my ability to see results with tapping gets faster all the time.
Absolutely. It's like a muscle.
So
You can train a muscle. Equally, this is a
exactly.
skill that you can train. You're
It
quite
is
right.
absolutely a skill. Now, some people just walk around with an open heart
Mm,
and they can achieve results right away, but it is something that you have to be open to.
mm,
And sometimes that it requires some proof for yourself. You know, you have to go through it and you
yeah,
have to experience the results in
yeah.
order to really be open to moving forward with it.
Mm,
So it's a very individual answer for each person. I can say
mm.
also that different topics have different rates of release.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So something like a big T trauma. And when I say big T trauma, I mean something like an assault or a big car accident or a major illness or
Mm,
something along those lines, where it's typically like one event.
mm,
An event like that is much easier to release because it's not a habituated
mm,
experience
mm,
and it's a one off and it's easy for your body to relax into letting it go.
mm,
When you have little T traumas or big T traumas that have been you've been subjected to over long periods of time,
mm,
then it is much more difficult to release because that has gone on for probably a long
mm,
time and you create fears and limiting beliefs about yourself as a result of those traumas.
mm.
And you go through life looking for evidence that they're true and you find it everywhere. And so there's a lot of supporting data basically in our bodies and our minds that say this is true. So
Yeah.
releasing little t traumas, which most people would even dismiss as being a trauma, that is a little bit harder. It's counterintuitive, but it's a little bit harder to release it because they are so convinced that it is true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, nicely said. Beautiful answer to that. Because we try
Mhm.
to get it so nicely packaged, everything in life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the extreme version is, oh yeah, just give me that one injection once a week, and then I'm going to
Mhm.
be slim and gorgeous and absolutely fine, and all my
All the
problems go
things,
away.
all
Isn't
the
it?
things, yeah.
Exactly. My ass, my bullshit. So no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't
No.
work with our life, and it's certainly and with the beautiful complexity of our lives. Because you could also say that trauma serves a purpose. That trauma is actually there to teach us and to change us into better human beings, to teach us the issues of integrity, authenticity, to actually be open, to actually stop for a moment, feel negative emotions. They are often messengers from our body that things are not right. And here we are trying to run away from them, escape them, keeping us busy with social media or
Yeah.
eating yet another high sugar, ultra processed thing that gives us that immediate dopamine rush because of too much sugar and salt and crunch. And in reality, we are we are just pouring gasoline on the fire of our traumas and actually make
Oh,
symptoms
absolutely.
worse.
Yeah. Our challenging emotions have been so vilified over the years. For men, the only appropriate emotion is anger. Anything else is viewed as weakness. And for
Mm,
women who are inherently emotional beings, are like labeled as hysterical if we get overly emotional. So we have been corralled into this idea that positive thinking is the best way to go, when in all honesty, moving through our challenging emotions is the path to healing.
mm,
Leaning in to the things that we have suppressed and rejected as not okay for so long for fear of being judged or criticized or whatever, that has just been stuffed down into our bodies, creating more stress and possibly even physical problems, when all we need to do is have the courage to move through the challenging emotions.
beautiful.
It's by honoring them and acknowledging them and actually feeling them that we can release them from our systems, and then they will no longer do harm. But unless we lean into it, we lean into the fears of the trauma, when we lean into guilt and shame and hurt and betrayal and all of the things that
Mm,
feel really, really hard,
mm,
when we do that, we free ourselves
Mm.
from like a prison of these unexpressed emotions. And that's when we can release all of the fear of it, when we kind of go through them and come out on the other side.
Beautiful. This is so going beyond tapping here.
Well, that's really what tapping is, right?
No.
People.
This is tapping 5.0. Okay, this is this is not what
Yeah.
your typical tapper out there
Right.
is providing. Okay,
But
um,
it's while we are tapping on our bodies and
yeah,
while we are saying how hurt we were
yeah,
and how painful it was.
yeah,
And of course it was painful after what we went through. And so acknowledging and really honoring and while tapping on our bodies, doing
mm,
that, creating that a safe space for us to do it and to voice even our deepest shadow parts of ourselves
mm, mm,
instead of resisting it, because
mm.
whatever we resist, it still persists. So once we acknowledge it and honor it, then it's able to free us.
Beautiful. Wow. Oh, wow. It's beautiful the way you've explained it. You're very eloquent in your words, in the way you describe it, because it is actually quite a complex issue, but
Mm-hmm.
it makes so much sense if we put it into the right surrounding, when we put it into the right circumstances. But it is something that we can do ourselves. The other thing that I found really, really powerful is that many modalities, you need someone else to do that. Reiki or
Right.
energy healing, etc. Someone else needs to give you the energy or needs to do something to you. So you're
Right.
dependent on that person. And rightly or wrongly so, there are roles for all of that. Sometimes you don't see what you can't see what you don't know. You have no idea. And then you get exposed to something and you think, wow, okay, now there is something there. So
Mm-hmm.
of course there is that, but with tapping, we can actually do that ourselves. Does it work as well when people do it themselves compared with if someone else is doing it to them?
That's a really good question. So with all of the tapping scripts on the app, they have to be genericized to a certain degree because everybody has unique circumstances
Mm,
in their own life. Um, so in each of the scripts, try to take somebody through the emotional arc and honor and acknowledge some of the elements that I think would be most important to releasing whatever it is they're trying to release. But some of them don't apply to people. So people might be tapping and saying things that don't really apply to them.
mm,
And it's very possible that I have left something out
mm,
that somebody might need to say in order to release it completely.
mm,
So there's no substitute for working with a qualified tapping coach because they, through conversation, will glean out the important elements to you and the exact right wording that
exactly.
you in particular would use, so that it touches you more deeply in
Exactly.
it in a way, and it would make it easier to release. So when I'm talking about the fear of not belonging, for example, there might be a specific event on a playground when they were 8 years old that really had an impact on them.
Mm,
And if they get the specific attention on that by
mm,
a trained coach, or if they can do that themselves, then that is going to be more powerful than
mm,
using the generic scripts on the app. But
mm.
I couldn't tap on myself when I first started either. So it's like getting an education. Like you said, it's like building that muscle
Yeah.
to being able to tap and release things on
Mm,
your own. So
mm,
I think that
beautiful.
they're both useful.
Mm,
If you don't, I want people to have something that is within their financial capability. I don't think anybody should have to forego help if
mm,
they really need it because they can't afford it.
beautiful.
So
Yeah.
that's why the app is so important
Mm,
because it's relatively cheap compared to whatever a
mm,
tapping coach or a therapist that does tapping would cost.
mm. Beautifully said. We addressed some of the facts surrounding the somatic side, the practical side of it, and we are going through certain points here in a moment. And I hope you do some tapping on me, or together we do that, so that people who
I'd be
watch the
happy to.
video,
Yeah.
so that people who watch the video can actually see directly what we are doing, how we are doing
Yes.
it.
Okay.
Does the sequence of points matter?
I think the sequence of points was done to make it easier for people to do it on their own.
That was my suspicion. And
Yeah.
because it's sort of, we're going over different meridians, we're playing here, we're playing there, and it was always a bit, hang on, what am I doing here? Am I trying to
Yes.
get yin there or yang there, or where's the chi flowing? Doesn't make sense. But it
Right.
makes sense if we say from a practical point of view. So for those of you out there, meridians are energy paths within our body in the traditional Chinese medical system, medicine system,
Mhm.
and you could believe, okay, energy, he's talking about that again. Now, nowadays, we actually know from more animal studies that the area of where we do effective acupuncture, they have certain neurons, certain nerve cells within the fascia of muscles and within the body that are far higher in those areas compared with anywhere else. So
Mhm.
we now have got actually anatomical evidence that there is truly a structure there. So you don't need to believe in energy anymore to actually say, well, hang on, there is something about acupuncture points. Now you could say that, okay, hang on, there is the stomach meridian and there's the kidney meridian, etc. These are abstract systems that the Chinese medical system has put on top of it. Let's just
Mhm.
accept for the time being that A, there are anatomical structures that are different in those points and that
Mhm.
they do something in the body, and B, that we can actually show that. Nowadays, we've got functional MRI, which is a beautiful way of looking into the brain. And if we were to stimulate those points, whilst you're in this functional MRI scanner, you will see suddenly activities in certain brain areas reducing. And one of those areas that are important for us is the amygdala. Amygdala is that beast in there that constantly, 24/7, looks for danger and will in a heartbeat, within a half a heartbeat, will give you this adrenaline surge because it thinks, oh my God, you're about to die right now. So wake up, kind of thing. So that's the amygdala. And when we do
Mhm.
the tapping, or when you do acupuncture in certain points, you actually reduce that activity in the amygdala dramatically. So
Yes.
here you are. What we're doing now, that we're actually going through that, is very much shown, okay, this actually has a relevant change in the body. And we
Yes.
can now put meaning to that. We can now use that reduced sympathetic drive to affect change in the subconscious, because we are no
Mhm.
longer blocking anything. We can now relax. We are not far more open. So that's what is going to happen now.
Yes. Yes,
Amy,
definitely. So there's no particular order, like you said, because there are 14 different energy meridians. I just like to tap on all of them. Like,
okay.
I mean, we're here. We might as well get as much bang for our buck as possible, right?
I like, okay, good point, actually. Yeah, okay.
So, what is it that you would like to tap on today?
Well, fear of financial stress. I'm going through major changes. I'm pivoting in my career. I have gone through a nasty divorce that wiped out most of my financial security. There is, yeah, I'm starting from scratch, like so many men and women do in their middle age out there, who
Mhm.
are just struggling because of climate change. Suddenly, the fishermen don't have any fish anymore, or that a builder is defining himself by, look, what I can carry up the ladder, and then his shoulders are stuffed and he can't work as a builder anymore. So it's those kind of many, many forced transitions that hit so many of us. And
Mhm.
2024 was quite a brutal year. The last 4 years were quite brutal for so many of us. So I think,
Mhm.
therefore, if we choose that topic, that is not just applicable to me, but for so many other people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so before all of this
Mm.
happened, were financial worries still a part of your everyday existence, or is this
There,
something that's fairly new for you?
oh, they were always an issue because there's always new challenges to finances. There's always decisions you make that work out and decisions and investments you make that don't work out. So coming from poor circumstances, from the wrong side of the tracks, finances were always an issue
Mm-hmm.
because there was no abundance where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some negative core beliefs. There was always envy modeled by my parents. If someone was a bit better off, oh, look at them here. And there are for sure some negative core beliefs implanted.
Yeah. And how stressed would you say you are, 0 to 10?
Oh, that's such a difficult question because I'm using a lot of techniques to counteract that. There are days when I'm 12 out of 10, and when I'm up, where fear is riding me like a mad monkey on my back. And there are days or moments when I'm zen, when I'm 0, because
Mm-hmm.
I've done 2 kilometers in a pool. I have eaten healthy. So I'm doing so much. But I think, yes, there's very much a raised level of anxiety. At the moment, I would say a pleasant 2 to 3 out of 10 because I'm
Okay.
connecting with you. I've got a beautiful, beautiful interview where I learn. So that's the power of community and connection, which I'm using now to reduce my
Yes.
fear. So,
Yes.
you know, I'm very active in managing that fear.
It's definitely a roller coaster, right?
Well,
So do me a favor and just close your eyes, and I want you to take a nice deep breath for a minute. I want you to put all of your awareness down into your body and focus in on the fear of your finances at the moment, and tell me where you feel it in your body.
my tongue and my stomach.
Your tongue. And what
I
does
know
it
it's a
feel like?
funny place, but that's where I
Yeah,
feel
that's
it at the
interesting.
moment.
Never heard that said.
It's just, yeah, it surprised me too.
What does it feel like in your tummy?
Attention. Attention that is something tight in there.
Mm-hmm.
An unpleasant warmth.
Okay. Okay, you can open your eyes. We're gonna go over the tapping points really quick for all of your listeners so they're aware of where to do the tapping. So the first one is just down from our pinky finger. This is called our karate chop point. I like to tap those two spots together, or you can do it like this. It needs to be a little higher. Yeah, right there. You can do it like that, or I tend to tap those two sides together. And this is where we're going to say an even though statement. And we're going to say that 3 times, and you'll just repeat after me. And then we're going to move to what's called repeater phrases. And first, we're going to tap on the beginning of our eyebrow point. So a little bit closer to your nose. Yes,
Glabella.
right there.
Yeah.
Not right in the middle, but right on the beginning of each eyebrow. And then on the side of your eye, right at the temple. And then under your eye, right on your cheekbone. And then under your nose. Under your mouth. And then the collarbone point, if you find the beginning of your collarbone, you're going to go down about an inch. There's a little valley in between your collarbone and your ribs, right on either side of your sternum. So that's the spot right there. And then your armpit, it's about maybe 4 inches down from your armpit.
Serratus.
Yeah, more on your ribs. And then the next one is right underneath the breast, maybe 2 to 3 inches down from your nipples on your ribs. And then on the wrist, there are 3 pressure points, outside, middle, and outside. And so I just tap my wrist together like this, or you can use one hand or both hands like that. And then
So
the
for
last
those of
one
you
is,
don't listening, so that's the inside of where your palm is, and it's basically from the end where the thumb is, then directly into the center, and then directly on the outside. Basically,
yes,
radial nerve, median nerve, ulnar nerve for the anatomists amongst us. Okay.
yes, thank you. And then the last one is up on top of the head.
Top of the head.
Okay, so We are ready. Let me look at my notes really quick. I just want to make sure and get my ducks in a row.
Absolutely, Amy. Thank you so much.
Of course. So I tend to do long tapping rounds. So you tell me how long you want to take.
No,
Otherwise,
no,
I
no,
can
no,
go
no.
on.
That is,
I can go on forever.
most people will have never seen a tapping. So
Right.
therefore, if we sort of do a proper one, but without now going into a long hypnotherapy session. Hypnotherapy can be 15, 20 minutes, or it can be a 3-hour past life regression. Let's go for something that is manageable for our show here.
Okay. Okay. I got it. Let's start on the karate chop point.
Cool.
And you're just going to repeat after me.
There's just
Even though
one question. Sorry for interrupting you.
it's
When
totally
we
fine.
do, when we have got some of these points which are bilateral, which we can easily reach, like those on the face, we can touch them at the same time. With the
Yes.
karate chop, we can sort of, I guess, karate chop both points together. Otherwise, does it make a difference, right versus left? For example,
There are
underneath the
right. I tend to hook
axilla.
myself when I do that, but you can do one arm or the other.
Right.
I just, again, I like to tap on both sides of my
Yep.
body. If I'm going to be here and do this, like I want to get as the best results possible. So
Bingo.
some tapping coaches will just do one side of the body.
Yep.
I want to do it all.
Absolutely.
And
Makes
that's
sense.
just the way that I learned. I don't think that any tapping coach is doing it wrong. They're just different.
Yep. No, I understand.
And so, but if you only have one hand, I do one hand.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
worry about doing it bilaterally.
So back to the karate chop.
Back to the karate chop point and repeat after me. Even though I have a lot of fear about my financial situation,
Even though I have got a lot of fear about my financial situation,
there have been so many changes recently, and it has me really worried.
there has been a lot of changes recently, and it really has me worried.
And I deeply honor all my thoughts and feelings about this.
And I deeply honor all my thoughts and feelings about this.
Even though I've been so worried about my financial situation,
Even though I've been so worried about my financial situation,
it's truly always been an issue for me.
it's truly always been an issue for me.
I've never felt an extreme sense of financial security.
I've never felt an extreme sense of financial security.
And that might be because the fear of not having enough was programmed into me from a very early age.
And that might be that the fear of not having enough was programmed into me from a very early age.
And I love and honor all parts of who I am completely.
And I love and honor all parts of who I am completely.
Even though I grew up in very poor circumstances.
Even though I grew up in very poor circumstances.
And I was, my parents modeled envy quite a bit when I was little.
Even though my parents modeled envy quite a bit when I was little.
I never, let me think. They always modeled stress around not having enough.
They always modeled stress around not having enough.
They always modeled scarcity.
They always modeled scarcity.
And maybe I picked some of that up.
And maybe I picked some of that up.
Maybe some of those belief systems are still with me today.
Maybe some of these belief systems are still with me today.
And it's affecting my ability to feel abundant right now.
And it's affecting my ability to feel abundant right now.
And I honor all parts of who I am anyway.
And I honor all parts of who I am anyway.
And I honor my courage in tackling this issue.
And I honor my courage to tackling that issue.
Okay, now we're going to tap on our eyebrow point. I'm so stressed about money right now.
I'm so stressed about money right now.
And then we move to the side of the eye with the next repeater phrase. I've got a lot of major changes happening in my life.
I've got a lot of major changes happening in my life.
I'm going through moving to the collar, under the eye.
Yeah.
I'm going through a nasty divorce.
I'm going through a nasty divorce.
Under the nose. And I'm having to start from scratch financially.
And I'm having to start from scratch financially.
Under the mouth. Reinventing myself at my age is not something I want to do.
Reinventing myself at my age is not something I'm wanting to do.
Collarbone point. I don't want to have to reinvent my entire financial portfolio.
I don't want to reinvent my entire financial portfolio.
Under the arms. But here I am.
But here I am.
Under on your ribs. And it fills me with stress.
And it fills me with stress.
On your wrists. And it's no wonder.
And it's no wonder.
Up on top of your head. It has affected my sense of safety in the world.
It has affected my sense of safety in this world.
Eyebrow point. Even my sense of self.
Even my sense of self.
Side of the eye. And I just want to honor that at the deepest level.
And I just want to honor that at the deepest level.
I grew up in very poor circumstances. Sorry, under the eye. We're
grew
just going
up-
to keep moving through the points now with each of the repeater phrases. I grew up in very
Very
poor
poor
circumstances.
circumstances.
We did not have a lot growing up.
We did not have a lot growing up.
There was always scarcity.
There was always scarcity.
There was always a fear of not having enough.
There was always fear of not having enough.
And I witnessed that fear from my parents all the time.
And I witnessed that fear from my parents all the time.
And it was literally programmed into my nervous system.
And it was literally programmed into my nervous system.
It became my set point for money.
It became my set point for money.
My set point for abundance.
My set point for abundance.
To have stress and fear and anxiety around it.
To have stress and fear and anxiety around it.
Even if I make more money than my parents did.
Even if I make more money than my parents did.
There's still that stress underneath all the time.
There is still that stress underneath all the time.
But it's really heightened right now, given my circumstances.
But it's really heightened right now, given my circumstances.
And I'm having to rebuild a lifetime of financial security.
And I'm having to rebuild a lifetime of financial security.
And it feels very uncertain.
It feels very uncertain.
It feels very unsafe.
It feels very unsafe.
And I just want to honor that at the deepest level.
And I just want to honor that at the deepest level.
Of course I'm scared.
Of course I'm scared.
I'm sitting in the rubble of a nasty divorce.
I'm sitting in the rubble of a nasty divorce.
Trying to pull myself out of it.
Trying to pull myself out of it.
Some days it's easier than others.
Some days are easier than others.
But I still have this programming from when I was little.
But I'm still having this program from when I was little.
All of the programming that my parents gave me.
All of the programming that my parents gave me.
Because they never worked through their fear of money.
Because they never worked for their fear of money.
So they just passed it down.
So they just passed it down.
Like any other generational trauma.
Like any other generational trauma.
And I want to start to let that old set point go.
And I want to let that old set point go.
All of those old beliefs about money.
All those old beliefs about money.
Beliefs that there isn't enough.
Beliefs that there isn't enough.
Beliefs that I'm not going to make it.
Beliefs that I'm not going to make it.
Beliefs that people with a lot of money are somehow bad.
Beliefs that people with a lot of money are somehow bad.
Or that I will be judged or criticized if I have a lot of it.
Or that I will be judged or criticized if I have it.
I want to let all of that go.
I want to let all of that go.
I want it to be free from my system.
I want it to be free from my system.
It really was my parents'
It really
beliefs.
was my parents' beliefs.
It doesn't have to be mine.
Doesn't have to be mine.
Now that I am fully aware of it,
Now that I'm fully aware of it,
I would like to let the stress go.
I would like to let this stress go.
I would like to release it from my body completely.
I would like to release it from my body completely.
I'm holding all of this tension in my tummy,
I'm holding all of this tension in my tummy,
all of this tightness and uncomfortable warmth there.
all this tightness and uncomfortable warmth there.
I want to let it go.
I want to let it go.
That was my parents' stuff to work on.
That was my parents' stuff to work on.
They probably weren't even aware of it.
They were probably not even aware of it.
But now that I am, I can consciously release it.
But now that I am, I can consciously release it.
I can consciously welcome in abundance
I can consciously let in abundance,
and let go of scarcity.
let go of scarcity.
They suffered enough with it.
They suffered enough of it.
I have suffered enough with it.
I have suffered enough of it.
And it's time to let it go.
And it's time to let it go.
It's not going to take me a lifetime to build up my wealth again.
It won't take me a lifetime to build up my wealth again.
Not if I let go of all of these blocks
Not if I let go of all of these blocks
and clear the way for abundance to find me.
and clear the way of abundance to find me.
So I'm letting go of all of this old baggage,
So I'm letting go of all of this old baggage,
letting it go from every cell in my body,
letting it go from every cell in my body,
every fiber of my being.
every fiber of my being.
I'm letting it go once and for all.
I'm letting it go once and for all.
And I'm willing to adopt a feeling of abundance
I'm willing to adopt the feeling of abundance
with an open heart.
with an open heart.
I'm letting in abundance.
I'm letting in abundance,
Abundance in all of its forms.
abundance in all of its forms.
I'm allowing it in,
I'm allowing it in,
opening up my heart
opening up my heart
to all of the beautiful abundance that's available,
to all of the beautiful abundance that is available,
especially financial abundance.
especially financial abundance.
Feeling so good about it coming to me
Feeling so good of it all coming to me.
and letting go of any remaining stress about this.
you can't you can't be very active when the cables go.
And letting go of any remaining stress about this.
And letting go of any remaining stress of this.
And I deeply honor my courage in taking this approach.
And I deeply honor my courage of taking this approach.
Okay, nice deep breath. Okay, let's sink down into your body again. Just put all your awareness down in your tummy and in your heart, and let me know what your rating is now, 0 to 10.
The tension is gone. 0. 0 out of 10 in my stomach.
Oh, that's
Tongue,
wonderful.
strange feeling is gone. So 0 out of 10.
Wonderful. Wonderful. What about the feeling of fear?
Gone.
Really?
Gone. So we clearly have addressed the emotional component. You completely reset my state. And also you hear me talking more calmly now. So there's a far more Zen-like effect, which is not very conducive to having a bouncing host on a on a show. You know, it feels as if you had given me a bit of a mild sedative there, or in fact, it feels as a beautiful reset in our such busy life. And this is the Zen-like moment when you've had a really hard workout and you look back and just think, wow, did I just do that? Or you have done a race, or you've done some competition, and now the adrenaline is wearing off, and you're coming to that deep felt satisfaction. That is how I would describe it. It's a
wonderful.
Now this is actually a very intriguing experience. How long did it take us now? That was what, 15 minutes about?
Yeah, Probably about that.
thereabouts, which is
Yeah.
exactly. So this is often sort of also the kind of hypnotherapy session.
Mhm.
Typically goes a bit longer, and I think you would have continued longer had we not been on air here on show. So, but it is actually quite intriguing. So very clearly, the points that we are doing is distracting the conscious. If we just work on conscious and subconscious, we are distracting the conscious, and using very positive suggestions. No, actually, not true. There was not much positivity there. There's these
Not until the end.
affirmations that exactly. There's also the affirmations are so great. I'm lovable because I'm lovable. I'm worthy. I am deserving. I am
Even
is
with the stress. Yeah.
correct. Yeah,
Even with the stress, I am those things.
and you are actually acknowledging the negativity or the negative emotions. There was, I would say,
Yes.
90% of it was acknowledging what you're going through but taking the emotions out of it, changing the physical state, whilst we're acknowledging the shitstorm that you're actually going through.
Yeah.
That's actually so beautiful. It's like
Yeah.
it's really shadow work ultimately what we have done,
Yes.
compared rather with the positive affirmations, trying to overrule it. Very beautiful. See, I thought I had understood the tapping, but I understood it as a medical doctor. Now I understand it as a man, as someone who
Mhm.
is actually as a recipient, and I think that is so powerful.
Yeah.
That is where
Beautiful
we
place.
truly have the choice of how should I say that? Give me a moment, because now you've put me into that different state. My brain works differently. I didn't see that coming actually, so I need to cut that out.
Well, normally when we're walking throughout our day, all of our energy is up in our head, right?
Yeah,
With spinning thoughts
yeah,
and when we do the tapping, we really bring our energy back down into our body and it's a different state than what we're used to.
isn't it?
So
I now I
it
even lost my
it can
train of thought.
feel, yeah, it can feel like you're less on top of things, but really
Absolutely.
in that state, if
Yeah,
you take advantage of it to its fullest potential, you can be more efficient, more effective
absolutely. Always,
because you're
always.
not your brain isn't ping ponging back and forth between future and past and trying to navigate between the two. Now you're in the present moment and you're so much more centered.
That is such a bizarre feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to creating those feelings, but I've typically actually need more time or need more energy to get there. For example, a 2 or 3 kilometer swim.
Yeah,
Um, that would be, but that's an hour. We achieved that same Zen-like state within 15 minutes. So there
yeah,
is actually a great advantage in there by exposing yourself to different things in your life. And I guess that was what I was originally trying to add here. We have got the power of choice. We have got the power of choosing to expose ourselves to different treatment modalities because not everything will work for everyone. You can't
right,
expect someone to, or everyone to respond to that. Some of us are
right.
not even anywhere close to being ready to expose ourselves to the traumas from our past. And it's so
That's true.
important also, you could think of it tapping, oh yeah, okay, you just tapped here and there, but it's a script and the way you actually individualize that script. You asked me the questions. You asked me to be quite specific under time duress. I mean, I put you on the spot here, but you managed to add in those things that were relevant for me. Five,
Mm-hmm.
6 points
Mm-hmm.
you gleaned. And that's also where in hypnotherapy, in everywhere, where there's a holistic model, we try to get information from our clients, from our patients, because it's
Mm-hmm.
only with that information that we can really target it to them. And it's so
Yes.
beautiful. You have modeled that really, really well. That was a beautiful experience, and I'm so
Oh, I'm
grateful
so
to
glad.
you.
Oh, I'm so
Absolutely.
glad. It's my
So,
pleasure.
oh, wow. Amy, if people want to find you out there and want to know more about tapping, and tell us more about tapping, your tapping app, where can we find that?
Well, you can search for Soar with tapping on any of the either Google or Apple
Mm,
platforms. But for your listeners, if they want to go to the website, soarwithtapping.com
mm.
/podcast dash special, then they can find a code there for your listeners that they can redeem on the app to get 50% off their first annual subscription.
Oh, beautiful.
Um, yeah,
And
yeah.
how much is
So
that normally? How much is the annual subscription?
The annual subscription is, I think, $88.
That's US dollars.
Yes,
It's
US
annual.
dollars.
That's it.
But there's also monthly and quarterly options if that feels too prohibitive. There's also a 14-day free trial so people can try it out, see if they like it,
Yeah.
explore all of the different tools that are available on the app. There's a My Journey section that allows you to journal about it, set your goals about it.
Yeah.
There's the resources section that I mentioned has a lot of videos for how to work through really big items like depression. If somebody's depressed and they go to the app, they're not going to know where to start with 160 tapping scripts. So they need a little bit of guidance about
Sure.
how to do that.
Yeah.
Same thing with anxiety or procrastination or addiction, that sort of thing. There's definitely an order to do things that will make it the most effective. But all of those things are available for them on the app. And I urge people to just go try, play.
Exactly.
Got 14 free days to figure it out. And hopefully a 50% off coupon for them to use if they want.
Brilliant. Guys, look down there into the description of the YouTube video and of the podcast. What have you got to lose? Far more importantly, what have you got to win? Because there is so much power in taking action. There's so much power in you taking control of the madness around you, and more importantly, the madness within you, within your head. And when we actually can calm that all down with effective ways, that's beautiful. But you need to figure out what works for you. And for all you know, you might have a very similar outcome like me. A short session that was incredibly powerful. And you hear it right now, compared at the start of the interview and compare now. I'm a different man. And so if that is possible within such a short period of time, might that not be something for you out there? Might that not be something that we all can use? Because there are techniques that work well. I mean, if you do like meditation, that's beautiful, but it might not be applicable where you are, because there might be an absolute crazy amount of activity around you. And whilst people might say, what the hell is he doing? Well, you're big and ugly enough to actually let them think what they think. But you might be in a busy airport lounge, but you can still do the tapping there. Whilst maybe meditation might not be as easy there. So again, different techniques might be applicable at different times. Use it, play with it, but incorporate those techniques into your daily life, and therefore create the best possible inner state with which you then can make the right decisions, rather than fear-driven or anxiety-driven decisions that might not suit you in the long run. Amy, you're amazing. Amy Vincze, an absolute amazing guest, an absolutely amazing technique. Thank you for teaching me about myself. Thank you for using me as a guinea pig here. Thank you for putting yourself on the spot, because that is, if you take a therapist or a coach out there and say, okay, show me what you can do, there's the anxiety level going in you up. You did ever so well there. And I hope that so many people got an interest into tapping with that. Okay?
I hope so. It was absolutely my pleasure talking with you today.
Absolutely. And you guys out there, look after yourself. Live with intention. Live with passion. Bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.